Hi guys, and welcome to show number 2.
This week's show, a lot of information again that you can take away and implement immediately in your business.
Yeah, look, I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone that supported on our first show and sending the messages. And look, because we're quite new at this, I know you're sending messages soon. We can see the phone tick away alongside us. But just while we play the tape interviews, that's when we dive our phones and answer you. So as we get better, we'll probably have to do this on the fly. But for now, we're concentrating on pressing buttons, making sure tape's going the right
place.
Place. Look, as someone said, one of the messages, why did you decide to do this show? And I suppose as business consultants, it was giving a vehicle or some platform where business owners can all jump in together and learn off other business people.
And all the people that we interview are all experts, are all self-made millionaires, are very successful in their businesses. They work on their business, and just listening to them, you can take at least one thing, what I say, and implement in your business.
Yeah, and I just think it's a really good platform. It's really enjoyable, and the guys are really down to earth in everything that they do. Look, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're an advanced business, because we obviously got some quite advanced people on here, or whether you're a startup. We've all been startups. We've all started from the beginning. I mean, that's why we made 1 Minute Millionaire course, was that 90-day program for startups.
Exactly. If I had all of this available when I started my business, I would have saved a lot of money in making so many mistakes.
So guys, don't forget to follow the channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. Look, this is we're trying to just build a community, so your support is really, really important to us. Now, last week we started off with Peter McLernon. He did his first part, and it was starting a business. So we thought we will press the button and listen to part 2 of Peter. Here we go. Business owner, what does that do for you in business?
Okay, it enables me to prioritise payments for a start. So I look down and say, oh, well, that one has to be paid today. Wages, for example, that's it, you know. Superannuation comes in there, all your taxation payments come in there, you know. Certain things, you know, so you look at it and say, well, it's not really necessary to pay that today, but it has to be paid next week. So you might, if you're having a bit of a tight week, you cut it out and you drop it into next week. You see what I mean? So it's continuously live and updated, you know. And that's enabled me to really closely manage. And then I meet with my bookkeeper every morning. He brings me up any CODs and payments that need to be made. That, generally speaking, should already be estimated within the cash flow anyway. And we adjust the cash flow and then move on to the next day. So that's a morning ritual, basically.
And is this knowledge of the business so intimate in numbers, is that what is allowing you to expand and have such a comprehensive business?
Yeah, well, what it does is, it's not really from an expansion point of view. That really is just a tool for daily, weekly management, really, just cash management, you know. What you're looking for, obviously you're forecasting your income forward, and you're really trying to estimate that pretty closely. So you can't exaggerate that because you're in trouble, you know. You know, I mean, if you don't meet those. So that's got to be a fairly good forecast. We can work out what our cost of goods is also, and that's in there because we know our margin is on average whatever it is, you know. So we can say, right, if we turn over 100,000, we expect our cost of goods to be about 60, broadly speaking, based on history. So we can estimate everything. It's all in there, you know. End of month, what we expect end of month to be. If our turnover for the month has been this, we know our end of month bills are going to be that because the percentage is there, you know. So you can estimate everything in there. It's just a management tool, a close management tool. I think everybody should be doing, every business owner, because they say that one of the biggest causes of business failure is cash management. So it doesn't mean that, what it means is, I know, for example, that in our business being retail and selling to business, the big months, the big quarter is the last quarter because it's heading up to the end of the financial year. So I know, you know, between April, May and June, my turnover and profitability might double. But I might have a quiet patch October, November, December, Christmas and New Year, when everyone else is selling Christmas trees and, you know, Christmas presents. We're not selling anything. So I can manage my cash flow through that quiet period, knowing that coming up will be, you know, if I get through here, then I'm going to have a good month. And I think there's probably very few people in WA that are really have the luxury of not having to worry about their cash flow at the moment, because I think here we're right at the bottom, and we're travelling along at the bottom. We've kind of reached a level. We've come right the way down, and hit a certain level, and we're travelling at that level. I can't see at the moment what might change that. What might pull us out of that, because we're part of the global community, and to me things don't look great globally. But we're okay at this level. So, if there ever was to be a turnaround, we'd be doing fantastically well. Yeah.
And for a business owner, when you've designed your model, how do you go around selecting suppliers? We talked about cabinet making shops as one example, and your decision to be a little bit different in that space.
Yeah, okay. Well, I used to be a manufacturer importer, so I had a 9,000 square metre warehouse in O'Connor, 6 metre high racking, and I carried about $2 million worth of stock down there. And what I did was, I owned a cabinet shop in China in partnership with a Chinese national. I had a partnership with an export agency in Hong Kong, and I had a cabinet shop here in Perth employing 6 cabinet makers. That was at the boom time for WA mining industry. We were selling millions of dollars a month, I had 5 branches in Perth. You need to have, at that stage, I had the capital to carry the stock and so on, and that was just servicing the WA market, but the model that I use now, and particularly I think the right model for expansion, is to use other people's products. So other people import and stock carry the stock, and we just draw it as we need it. So what we do now is we have try to have a couple of suppliers in each of the areas in which we operate. So those suppliers, you might say, compete with each other to supply us with their best quality product at the best price. Because, for example, we might have 5 office chair suppliers. Each one of them might have slightly different characteristics. For example, 4 of those will be importers, and the 5th one will be locally made, specialised chairs and so on. So, but they will compete with each other for quality, price, variety and so on. So each of those will have chairs on our product selection centre floor, and they'll be competing with each other on our floor. Yeah. So as we expand now, we're moving into the expansion phase. We don't have to set up a warehouse with $2 million worth of stock in Sydney. The suppliers we use in Perth are the same suppliers as we'll use in every other capital city in Perth. So we can set up a branch in Sydney for virtually just the cost of the signs, first 3 months rent, those kind of things. There's no all the stock on the floor is on consignment, so we don't carry any stock at all. So very easy to expand the model. Yeah.
And does that not carrying stock, does that make you more agile to change with market trends?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we're establishing product selection centres, 1 in each capital city, 2 in Sydney just because of the size of the economy there, but everywhere else it'll be 1 as it is in Perth. Once that national network, there's nothing like it at the moment. There are similar ones, but it's going to be completely unique as our concept is here, as I've run through it. So it'll be a unique concept, but we'll have a national distribution network. At that stage, we'll have suppliers knocking on the door. Can you sell our product? So what are the terms and what are the prices? And so we'll make selections here, which will then be distributed through our network Australia-wide. So we'll create even more competition between suppliers for price, quality, and to be displayed on our floors, basically, which will help business generally. Yeah.
The one thing I like about your model as well is this giving back attitude. You're actually creating a success centre in these models to help other businesses succeed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, much like Homebase, where people go for advice on building products and so on, it's not just it's a display centre, but also an advice centre. And people go there to practice laying tools or whatever, tiles. Yeah. So so much the same way, we want to be part of the business community, not just a retailer. So each of our product selection centres will have a boardroom like we have here, and we have what we call a business-based success club, where people that become part of that club obtain certain benefits, which might be discounts and business advice, seminars, that type of thing. So we're part of the business community. We're members of the Chambers of Commerce, for example, so we're members of the Fremantle Chamber of Commerce, the Western Suburbs Chamber of Commerce, the West Australian Chamber of Commerce and so on, so that we're involved in the business community. Also, we're looking to, and we have in the past sponsored, say, Business of the Year, Entrepreneur of the Year, Startup of the Year, that type of thing, because we're wanting to reward business excellence, really, and to contribute to the business community generally. Part of that is to provide the best quality products, like I said, at value for money, and then great advice and community for business. So that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Someone looking maybe been in business for a few years or maybe starting out, how can they find more about your business success club and contact you and get some direction here?
Yeah. There's membership forms on our website, so www.businessbase.net.au, where people can join up, become members of the club. It's a developing situation. That membership is offered to current customers and so on, clients. So yeah, the best way is to go to our website and have a look there. Yeah.
Peter McLernon, thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
Peter McLernon, well, he's been there, done that several times, and his business model now, what he was describing, is really unique. One of the things that struck me, and I thought this was something that, I'd love everyone's comments on this, when he talked about having to stand out, didn't matter whether you were miles away from your competitor or sometimes next door to your competitor, but he's saying you've got to differentiate yourself.
In one of your quotes, we said, just don't succeed, exceed. And I think that ties in very well with his message.
It certainly does. And I suppose that's the thing. People say, what makes you special? And quite often they come up with, well, it's good service, or I'm on time, or I'm cheap. But it has to be something that is unique. And I look at it, what is your customer looking for? And that's exactly, I think, what he did with his business. His customers are looking for a one-stop shop, and they're forming a business community. And that's kind of what he's created there. How do you go about, what strategy have you put in place to go about identifying how you are unique?
It's listen to your clients. We all have these ideas when we start our own business in our head, and we play this movie in our head of how our business should look like. Yeah. And once we start, we realize, but something is not working. But once you go and ask your client, what do they want? Is it convenience? Is it pricing? Is it speciality? Then build your business around what your client wants.
Yeah, and I think you said something then, when you find what your client wants, it's a matter of telling them.
Exactly.
Which is a great segue to Helia Singh and marketing. Here comes Helia with her session. She popped in to talk about marketing. She's a self-made millionairess, and she specialises in helping people create wealth. She's got some interesting takes on marketing. Let's have a look what she had to say.
Hi, my name is Helia Singh, and today I want to talk about marketing and how it's affecting our wealth creation. The ability to influence people to do what we want them to do is actually marketing. And we all know it and learned it, and it's a habit in our system even as a baby. We're born with that. So as a baby, we used to obviously cry and ask for attention and get what we want. And then we older, and then in a cute way we learn to manipulate our parents or siblings to get what we want. And this way just evolved until we went to school, and then gradually we learned that in order to receive and get, we have to give, either by studying hard, putting time to do things, and being nice to other people for them to be nice to us. So we had to do that. But somewhere along in the way, so we lost that ability. We thought, okay, we need to only learn to do stuff in terms of whatever we had to study at the school in order to get a good job. But we lost that skill, how to communicate with others to get what we want. And that's why marketing is a big thing these days. If you look at 100 years ago, the history of marketing, it has evolved even in that way. But one thing remains the same. Everybody judge a person by their cover, and that's true. No matter how smart we are and how much we are, enlightened, we all have it in our program mind that yes, we look at something or we hear something for the first time, and we make a judgment on that person or that idea. And this is completely normal and a human way. But If you don't know how to market yourself, that means you are robbing yourself from the opportunity of getting things that you want to get. And unfortunately, these days, because businesses, they use marketing as a way of advertising, so people think that marketing is the same as advertising, which actually they are not the same. Advertising is done in a purpose to get what you want, obviously to sell a product or service, but marketing is the research behind it. So that's why, even if you are not running a business, even if you are a student, you need to know how to market yourself. Remember, when you're doing your resume, you are actually marketing yourself, but you need to learn how to put the content together to be, appealing to a prospect employer. So without that communication, how can you go to a job interview and expect to get it? Because obviously there are so many other people, similar to your skills and qualification, they all go for the same job. But why one person get it and the other person doesn't? And please don't tell me, they were friends, or they were lucky, or they knew someone in that organization. That's very, very overrated. It's all about that, what you have shown that the prospect employer see as a resonation with them, that there is some synergy there, that they can work together. And that's your marketing. Even when you get up in the morning and choose, okay, what dress to wear, or how to do your makeup, or whatever, basically, subconsciously, you are marketing yourself. So don't tell me that, you are not into marketing. We all are into marketing. There is a degree to it. And I had to learn marketing in a big way, because when it comes to technology, I'm very much challenged. So it was very hard for me to do marketing, and especially because of the language barrier, even how to do the content writing and how to communicate with others, and that what is my skills and how I can help others. But I learned that from a mentor. I've done a very, very great education on that, just to learn how to market myself. So marketing is about to know your audience, your avatar, and even if you want to go to a party, if you want to go, even if somebody asks you to give a speech on a wedding or a birthday party, you need to know who's your audience, what kind of a joke you're going to crack. So are you going to a birthday party for a grandparent who's like 90 years old and everybody's in that age, or you're going for an 18-year-old birthday party? So you can't use the same joke. You get it, now what I mean by that. So you need to do your own research, that what to say, that the whole group will like it and they're gonna have a good laugh and have a great memory about it. So that research is called marketing. And if you wanna know more about marketing, and how important it is, that even if you are a PAYG or you decide that you'll never ever wanna be in business, you just wanna be an employee, but it's that important for you to know marketing. You wanna know more about it, head into my channel. I've got a great interview with Cham Tang. He's the co-founder of Authentic Education, and he's the marketing guru. I learned firsthand everything from him, and I've interviewed him. It's a great show. He's given you lots of tips that how you can use in terms of marketing yourself. So I've got the details of the channel in the below comment, so make sure you check it out. Until next time, have a happy, healthy, wealthy life. See you then. Bye.
Welcome to another golf tip, brought to you by Top Tracer, your personal golf coach, helping you hit it straight down the middle. Welcome to this week's lesson, brought to you by Top Tracer. This week we're going to talk about the direction and how we can control how we hit the ball left and right. The main cause and effect of the golf ball going left and right is the club face. We tend to try and worry too much about it with our swing, but really all it is controlling that club face. And that's how we use the technology on the Top Tracer, which gives us that positive feedback. It's said that the breakfast of champions is feedback. So we're looking for the feedback on how we can get the ball to go high, low, left and right. So we'll be able to hit a few shots now And when I hit these shots, you'll be able to see on Top Tracer the effect of the club face being opened and closed and shut, de-lofting, increasing the loft on how it changes the ball flight. When we're hitting the ball, if the club face is open, the ball's going to go left to right. So when I hit this with an open club face, the ball goes left and right. So that one starts off down to the left and then travels around to the right. Conversely of that, if I set up with the club face closed, the ball's probably going to start down the middle and then turn off to the left, which we commonly call a draw or a hook. And you can see how that goes off to the left. The secret then to hitting it straight down the middle is having the club face square at impact, not de-lofting it, not increasing the loft, just having it square there at impact so that the ball goes straight down the middle. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tip, and I look forward to seeing you on Top Tracer on the range here at Whaleback Golf Course in the near future.
Oh, wow. I was just watching the golf tip then by Peter Hopkins out there at Whaleback. And he makes it look easy, doesn't he?
Whenever you go out and you try it yourself, my ball never goes straight.
One thing that, and people say, why have you got golf? I think it demonstrates the value of coaching, whether it's in sport or in business.
My mentor back in South Africa, hi Martin, he always on a Wednesday afternoon played golf. And all his clients knew that he was playing golf. And for him it was not only about a sport, but for him it was about time out of the business, just to sort out all the things in his head.
Yeah.
So to him it was more than just playing the sport, and he was an excellent business person, and I've learned a lot from Martin.
Yeah, and I think, and that's the whole name of the show. Please keep sending your messages. We love getting them. Say when we're playing the videos, we'll jump on the phones and answer you. One of the things that we played Ivor last week about Facebook, and we got a lot of questions about Facebook, and people were quite concerned about. I don't know if hijacking is the right word. People hijacking your Facebook page, Gerhard?
For Facebook especially, the rules change so quickly and so often. It's so important to keep up to date. And listening to Colin, I actually took one or two things away from his discussion for our Facebook page.
Yeah, because Colin called in because he works with Ivor pretty closely, and he said, look, what Ivor was saying was really, really good. He said, but what I want to do is just protect people from the start. And we're saying, yeah, and he's on it. We talked about the hijacking your Facebook page. You've all seen it, all the spams, I've been hacked, don't share it. And he said, look, the rules are pretty simple and the systems are really simple. So he started talking. We said, whoa, let's do our usual. Turn the cameras on. Hey, we recorded an interview. I sat behind the camera on this one, just asked him a few questions about Facebook security. And even I learned quite a bit. Check out what Colin's got to say. Well, Colin James, Facebook expert right here in Perth. One thing that's been going around is don't trust Facebook. It can be hacked, it can be copied. Facebook security, where do we go?
Well, it's really funny. I get all the time, don't accept friend requests from me, someone's hacked my Facebook. And I sit there and go, and how did they do that? Have you got any of the security turned on? Maybe you have your friends who can see your friends, and your friends of friends can see your friends, and they have been sending all of those people friends requests, and those people are saying, oh, well, Michael's a friend of those, it should be okay. Then all of a sudden, you're sending out personal messages to everyone saying, please don't accept friend requests from me because someone's hacked my page.
So can you explain that? Friends seeing friends. What is this in Facebook?
So in the security settings in Facebook, it's really simple. You go to who can see your friends.
And whereabouts is that in Facebook?
In the security settings.
Right.
So you just go in the menu on the top right hand side.
Yep.
settings, and it gives you a whole new menu. In there, the security settings, personal settings, all sorts of stuff. You know, who can do what and what can do who. If you're a business owner and using your page to promote your business, you need to go have a look at all those and make sure they're set up correctly.
So the friends that can see friends, is this a button that turns on or off?
Yes, absolutely. It's just on or off. So who can see my friends?
And your recommendation setting?
Only your friends. Because you don't know who they know, and they don't know who your friends know.
So the people that are friends on my page or follow can't see my friends. That's what you would recommend?
Can't see your other friends.
Can't see your other friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
So your friends can see your friends, but their friends cannot.
Ah, so if they're my friend, they can see my friends, but their friends
can't see your friends.
Aha.
So that means that somebody who is my friend can't see your friends and can't send them friend requests.
And what's the big advantage, or when it comes to security, by turning that button? Is it turn it off?
Off.
Right.
So I only want my friends to be able to see my friends. Right? And you go, okay. Then only people that you have sent friend requests to can see your friends.
From a security aspect, when you consult with people, how do you explain the benefits of turning off, or the reasons why that should happen?
I just show them. I show them and go, here's a friend request from somebody, no photo, it's just a blank thingo there, okay. I don't know who this guy is, he's got a strange name. I go to his profile, I go and have a look at his profile, I go, I have no idea who this is, and I don't know who the friend is that they're a friend of. Why would I friend them? So I block them, and that's marked as spam. And you'll never hear from them again.
Some great stuff there by Colin, and Facebook security. I wonder how many people now are jumping on their Facebook and going in the security tabs.
The wonderful thing for what you've done the last 2 weeks is none of this what we gave you cost money.
No.
You don't have to spend money to protect your Facebook page. It's just by going into some settings and changing it.
Yeah, and I find people like, well, all the people that are on the show, they're so generous, they give their time, and it does take time. They come in and they get in front of cameras, and we have a bit of fun, but it's still, they got to come in here, we got to film them, then it's the editing, so, and then they give their knowledge freely, and the security knowledge, I think, is really, really important.
Again, you can take so long to build up your business, and by something small, like not checking your security on Facebook, can destroy everything.
Absolutely. The other thing is what can destroy everything really quickly, and this is what happens if something happens to us as a business owner, or happens to you as a business owner. You know, how does the business keep functioning? Have you thought about these things? Now, John Broons, the Family Business Advisor of the Year, popped in. He's a good friend of ours, and he started talking about a client he was talking to on the phone about the finances. How would the money keep flowing if something happened to them? And I suppose most would just go, it'll just be business as usual, won't it?
It's not. I've seen so many times when something happens to one partner, a business can go under, or other family members will come in, which got no interest in the business, and it's just a nightmare. You need to have things in place.
And I know when we do our consulting with business owners, it is one of the areas that we have a look at. But John is a real specialist in this area. So I think he was standing down in our pool room when we turned the cameras on him. I think it was a little bit dark, but hey, it's the content that counts. Check out what John's got to say. How is your business going to keep running if, how does he phrase it? If you get hit by a bus. Hey, check out his website. He's actually got a book. If you were hit by a bus, what would you do if you got hit by a bus? Something like that. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look at what he's got to say.
I've only just come off the phone having a conversation with somebody about money. Now, money is something that we all are happy to deal with, especially when we're working in business. We like to know what we've got and what we haven't sometimes. But here's the thing, in this conversation, if you were hit by a bus and we were talking about money, think about these things. I wrote them down so I could make sure that we got them for you. Who besides you can access the money? It might be the company accountant. It might be your wife or your husband. It could even be the trusted bookkeeper. But you need to know who actually has access to the bank accounts and has the ability to play with petty cash. And I don't mean play it with petty cash as a game, I'm talking the serious operation of your business. So who can access the money? The next question we came up with was, what checks and balances do you have in your system to ensure that the bills get paid, not just the person who's got access to that bank account? It's an important part to know who has that permission, that responsibility to pay the clients, to make sure that your customers are actually paying the bills so that you've got money in the bank to keep the business rolling. The next thing we thought about was the bank. Do you have some sort of authorization set up with the bank? And if so, how many people are authorised to sign or to allow transactions to occur over the internet? Some people will have FOBs, some people will have other ways of making sure those payments that they have out of their account work. So you'll need to know what sort of authorisations are in line with your bank. And the last thing, which is really very, very important in my mind, is if you were hit by that bus and you died, is the authorisation that you have with the bank voided in any way? It can be that the bank, if you have passed, the bank can close or lock up the account so that the next person in line, or the estate managers, those people that have control of the account after your passing, can make sure that the business still continues to operate. So it's really critical to know who has that authority and whether or not authority is voided after your death.
Well, there we are. John Broons, if you're hit by a bus, check out his website, John Broons. Just Google that, the family business guy. And he's got that book, Hit by a Bus. It's got 27 questions in it. I think it's free download that you need to be able to answer so your business is protected if something happens to you. It was an interesting talk.
It is a very small investment in your time to go through those points and see what you can put in place. And if something is not in place, just set yourself a date by when you will have one or two of those things in place.
And it is a really worthwhile book. And talking about books, we did a session, didn't we, on the millionaire habits. And we're doing some consulting with our clients to look, because this is one of the things we found, that millionaires read books more than they watch television.
And also, it's not that they don't watch television. They're very selective in what they watch. But their way of doing a mind feed and see what strategies is available and what's out there is by reading books.
And there's lots of good books. You know, Paul Baird-Murray called into the studio. Paul's a good friend of ours, and he's in LJ Hooker, Rockingham, self-made, and a really, really nice guy. And he's quite passionate about business books. And it's an oldie, but still a goodie, the Cashflow Quadrant.
Yes.
And he came in and we were having a chat, and he started telling me about all the passion, and well, you know what we did.
If you show passion, the camera goes on.
Gerhard went, you two sit there, and he turned some lights on, turned the cameras on, and went, have a chat about this. Check out this book review with Paul, The Cashflow Quadrant. Well, we were going to talk about Robert Kiyosaki's The Quadrant. And what's it called, Paul?
It's called The Cashflow Quadrant.
The Cashflow Quadrant. Paul, welcome to the show. Paul Baird-Murray, you love this. And I thought it was really good for business owners who may not have read this book to get a bit of a snapshot on your takeaways that's helped you in your business.
Okay, well, let's just talk about Robert Kiyosaki's book, The Cashflow Quadrant, first. I read it before I was a business owner, and I think it was because I read it that I became a business owner.
Oh.
Yeah, it goes through the different quadrants, and it goes through the first quadrant being employed by somebody and paying your tax along the way, your PAYG tax.
Yep.
However, it goes then from there to the next quadrant, which is to be employed like a self-employed, like let's say a plumber that has his ute and he's got his tools in the back and he goes out there and he's employed, but with him being the main employer, or the employee, the employer, the whole lot. He's the one-man band. And then it goes to the next stage, which is you own a business and you're actually employed within that business, and you have people working within that business with you, and that business is functioning with you there and with you away. It still functions.
Yeah.
And then the next stage, the last quadrant, was that you've actually built up a degree of wealth, and that wealth now allows you the freedom to actually give up work at a younger age and have investments provide you with income.
So looking at Cashflow Quadrant, when you first read it, and you said that's what motivated you to get into business in the first place, but there must be some people who may look at that and it may fill them with a little bit of trepidation, doubts. Was there any fear factor in there? Did you ever think, oh, is it worth this risk going into business for yourself?
Absolutely, and I think that risk is the greatest challenge that most people face when getting out of a paid job into business. Whether they're going from a paid job into getting that van and driving around and being the electrician or the plumber or the tiler or whatever they may be, or buying into a business where you've got staff and you've got infrastructure and you've got a lease on a building and you've got customers coming and going. So there is that fear factor. However, the book takes you through that, and it explains in actual fact that being employed by somebody is a risk in itself. When you're employed by a company and that company decides that we want to downsize or change our strategy, and they look at departments and look at people that are within the company and they just shed their staff, you're in that situation.
Yeah.
If you create and control your own business, you're actually in a position where you can have the freedom to pick and choose the days you work and the hours you work and the type of environment you work in. However, if you do injure yourself and you get hit by a car and you break your legs, of course your business stops working.
Yeah.
The next step is, of course, buying that bigger business, which actually has the wheels in motion and it keeps going. That was exciting, I think, to have that, and it is scary, and it is a step out of your comfort zone. But the book does take you through those stages. But what you'll find is that it's like life, I suppose, is that there's these layers upon layers of confidence that you build as you go along. So you learn a lesson and you add that to your repertoire. You learn another lesson, you add it to the repertoire, and you build this confidence to the point where, no matter what challenge comes along, you think, well, I've faced all these other challenges, I can handle this as well.
When you read books like that and you hear what they're talking about, we talk about confidence helps you with the confidence. And most business people get into business for wealth creation. And I know it's the people say, oh, you shouldn't talk about that, but we do get into business for wealth creation. One thing that when I was first reading that book myself, what struck me was if I got into business and all I did was work for myself, I was just stuck on an hourly rate. And someone gave me a test and said, so you want to earn $1 million for the year, what's your hourly rate? I'm working, you're only about a third effective during a day and you only work 40 something weeks in a year. It worked out my hourly rate had to be $1,500 an hour. And I kind of went, I don't think that's going to work for me. Did you go through this similar thing and realize it takes employees if you really want to create real wealth creation?
Can we pause there?
It's a tricky question, isn't it?
It is a tricky question. Can we just ask me that one more time?
So when I went through that book and I realized that for earning $1 million, it was going to be $1,500 an hour, and I went, that's going to be a challenge for me. It was then I realized that if I wanted to create real wealth creation, I had to have employees and help employees actually create their wealth. Is that something you realized when you read the book?
Yes, I do believe I realised that. However, it wasn't my most sort of main thought process.
Okay.
My thought process, which got me interested, was the fact that when you have your own business, you can purchase the business in a different entity, and that business can be then. I suppose the business is, in my case, it's in a family trust.
Right.
So the family trust then has tax benefits to it. And so one of the things that I learned from Robert Kiyosaki's book is the two biggest bills we normally have is our mortgage and our tax bill.
Right.
So by actually having the structures right will help you when it comes to how much money you end up getting at the end of the day.
So there was some of the takeaways you started taking. When you actually took the journey into buying your own business, what do you think was the catalyst? Where did your confidence, you said confidence was important, where did your actual confidence come from to go, this is worth the risk, I'm going to go for it?
I think I was in a fortunate position where I could see lots of operators in the business industry that I purchased into. And I compared myself with some of those other operators and I thought, if they can do it, I can do it.
So you looked and went, okay, I'm picking an industry that there's people already being successful in. Yes. And then you looked at those successful people and kind of tried to benchmark yourself alongside them, and off that you went, fine, I'm as good as.
Correct.
That's an interesting philosophy. Someone's looking at going in business. Is that something you'd advise? Look at the industry as a whole and see there's other people already being successful in it?
Absolutely. I mean, before I bought into the business, what I did is I questioned a lot of people. I spoke to a lot of different business people in that business. How do they set up the business? What structure did they use? Did they have a family trust? Did they buy it in a company name? Did they buy it in their own name? Were they a partnership? Were they a business? You know, all sorts of different ways that people were doing it, and looking at the pros and cons. So I think, you know, the research was really important, because the research also built confidence as well. One of the most important things I actually did is I went and made an appointment with my accountant, and I sat down with my accountant and I said, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What are your thoughts?
Oh, you went and saw him before you bought the business?
Before I bought the business. I sat down with the accountant and I said, this is what I'm thinking. And he said, well, there's pros and cons. Here's the things you should look for. These are the things you should ask. These are the figures that you should get and bring back to me and let me analyse them for you. And then we need to look at, if you do move forward, we need to look at the structure you purchased it in and what benefits you're going to have from a taxation point of view of that structure. And so I had that research done before I actually, you know, signed on the dotted line.
Wow. And in your journey, have you gone through the cash flow quadrant with Robert
Absolutely,
Kiyosaki?
absolutely. Yeah, I have definitely gone through the cash flow quadrant. The last part of the quadrant was to have assets that you build up over a lifetime. There's no quick get-rich-quick schemes, but over a lifetime of building up assets. And I'm not finished with my life yet, as you can see. But to the point where you could give up work if you needed to, or you wanted to, or you had to, and you still had an income coming through, passive income coming through from investments that would give you a lifestyle that you're comfortable living, and you could live for the rest of your days.
Wow. Paul Baird-Murray, thank you so much for taking us through Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant and how it's helped you build a business.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the cash flow quadrant, I might read that book again. It's a while since I've read that one.
You know me, I always read a book more than once, so it might be on my list. I think it's number 5 or 6 at the moment, but it will be on my list to read again. But sorry, Michael, cash flow is so important.
Yeah.
Cash is king, like they always say. So you can have all the profits in your book, but if the money is not in the bank, you can't do anything.
Exactly. I like your strategy when you read books. Can you share that one where you make your notes and you're referencing?
What I start doing with my books is as soon as I read, I open my Word document on my computer and I start making notes when I find something very interesting. But then I also put the page number next to it, because sometimes you make a note and you think, I will remember this. When you go through it again, you can't make sense of any of your notes. So going back to that page, read that paragraph again and it makes sense. So it's just a bit of a reference, because sometimes when you read a book, you can't remember where did you read that one specific thing. But making notes, it takes me a bit longer to read a book, but I find it much easier to reference my books.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, I will just say again, you know, if you're enjoying the show and you're enjoying the content, please like, follow us. If you're on the YouTube, you know, tick all the appropriate buttons, ring the bell on YouTube. Make sure you follow us. Your support is really, really valuable to us. Really does help us and motivates us to keep producing this show. I mean, we're just on show number 2. Show number 1, we had a gentleman on about how to grow your business. He challenged everyone to understand why you want to grow it in the first place. We played part 1 of that interview, and of course we're talking about Mr. Andrew Ford from Ford & Doonan.
It's just amazing when you start speaking to people and you put your cameras on, then they start talking and talking. Before you know, it's 20 minutes and 30 minutes. That's why we have to cut it. Yeah. And normally when you ask people, come for interviews and talk for 5 minutes, what will I talk about? And after 20 minutes, cut.
Yeah, I know. Hey, if you're a business owner and you'd like to come on the show and you want to share some of your information and your learnings, send us an email there at info@worthingtonstoop.com. It'll be ticker tape across the bottom here, I think, on the screen and in the notes. And if you want to talk or ask a question of any of our contributors, they're more than happy to answer your questions. Just send that email into us at info@worthingtonstoop.com, and we'll make sure that next time they're in our studios, we'll roll the camera and ask them your question. Enough of that. People are going, get on with it. Okay, shall we? It's Andrew Ford, part 2 of How to Grow a Business. When you and Kyle built a Ford and Doonan, and you started off as air refrigerator, you're a mechanics, weren't you? You used to
refrigeration mechanics, yep.
You did all the servicing. That must have been a big risk to send let's buy the product in and install it. A few people would be going, whoa, that's a bit of money you guys are putting on the line. How did you analyse that? Did you do a similar process?
Sort of. I was pretty naive back then. We're only about 21 years old. So
does that help being young?
It did. Well, they say ignorance is bliss, as they say. So it was both a curse and a benefit because we didn't have a lot of personal financial pressure, so we could run a few risks, I guess, because we didn't have a family, the mortgage and kids and all that sort of thing. But you're right, and we did go into, but we started very slowly into that space. So when we diversified from purely a service business into a sales and installation, and as you said, Michael, we need more capital to fund that. Yeah. We're very slow on that. So I mean, one of our early clients was actually the ABC Studios, not far from where they used to be down the road here.
Yeah.
And we were paranoid about it. It was a big contract back then. It was like $20,000, you know, it was like, and we were, how are we going to make sure we get paid? So we'd set up that already, make sure we could get paid quickly before we had to pay our supplier back out. So, but that was in my particular situation. It's not always as controllable as that, of course. If you're out to the public, you're debtors and that, it's not as easy to rein it in.
It must be good though when a business owner sits down with you, because you've been through a journey, even though you say, well, it may not be the same, but you know what you're looking for. Do you find that's when people go to have business growth, sometimes they just don't know what to look for.
That's right.
Because they've never done it.
That's right, and why would they in some regards? And that's, I guess, the benefit of dealing with someone who has been through it, and not just in theory at university or anything, is actually have gone through it, because you do see, even if it's not my industry sector that I particularly know well, business is pretty common all the way. There's the same pressures and things that are exerted on every business. So I definitely have some wisdom that I can share with people to either help them be super successful or help them avoid a mistake.
And one thing, I mean, people look at air conditioning, obviously you've got your gym, but where you are with Ford and Doonan, and people probably know, you suddenly took on solar. So people go, hold on, air conditioning, solar, but you were very strategic in what you said you were going to bolt on to Ford and Doonan. You and Kyle were very strategic in that. That must take a little bit of thought process in that growth area.
Absolutely, and we brainstormed a list of all different products and services that we could sort of diversify into, and we wanted to ensure that it was a logical bolt-on and had a synergy with our core business.
So brainstorm it first, make a whole list?
Make a whole list and then shortlist the ones that meet the criteria. That in our case it was being an allied business, and it wasn't like we're suddenly selling ice cream or something with no relationship to our core business. But solar and air conditioning, obviously we're already on the people's homes, we're on their roofs.
So it's kind of the same client you went, well, it fitted the same clients would buy both services.
Spot on, and that made we lower the cost of client acquisition then. Virtually don't need a marketing budget because we've got a database of 30,000 people, which we haven't even got around to starting to work yet. But just by virtue of every air conditioning quote, we now say, would you be interested in solar? So there's a zero lead acquisition cost.
They're just good little nuggets of information that someone looking at growth is going, I never thought of that. Sometimes, growing may not just be acquiring more clients in your particular field, but going, I'm struggling to grow this field. Oh, is there something we can bring in? And that strategy of brainstorming and then synergies, I think is a great one.
It's really good because also you can identify maybe greener paddocks over the side, as in that other sectors that are allied may be less congested with competitors and be more profitable. So instead of necessarily going down the path that you're on, for example, if you're an electrician, and okay, we're going to expand electrical, let's diversify into security or access control systems where there might be a less cluttered market, but still very allied to the core business.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
And the skill set that your people have obviously makes a big difference of staying in an allied space. Is you don't have to bring a whole new skill set of new people, where you can just upskill maybe the existing people to the new skills, but their core experience and everything is valid for both.
So if I'm looking at your business, so I looked at air conditioning, my perception would be obviously that you have designers because you design all systems. So the designers are there who can design air conditioning, they can probably be upskilled to design solar systems.
Correct, yep.
Solar needs electricians. Well, you've probably already got all your electricians.
All electricians there.
There are people already skilled in dealing in commercial spaces and in homes.
Yep, and we've got the sales team already.
So you got this, so I can see where you're ticking all your little boxes.
Yeah.
It must be good when you sit down with the business and go, well, here's the box, and they go, oops,
Yeah.
I'm not taking any with this one, and
That's right.
it can save a big mistake.
It can save a big mistake. Yeah, so I guess another tip that you already touched on, Michael, is that you don't necessarily have to grow into your own space that you're existing in, but certainly something that has a connection or an allied industry, but don't always just think with your blinkers on of, we've got to grow my core business and that's the only bit I can grow.
Yeah, because I mean, and that must have been a challenge because Ford and doing what, 35 years?
35
Would it be
years this
right?
year, yep.
2020, 35 years. So obviously you've drawn a huge chunk of the market, and it must have been, your question is, how much more of this can we get? And it's probably, is that what led to the decision?
Yeah,
Let's look for
it
something
is,
else?
because we did analyse our market share, and the cost of getting more market share, it becomes sort of, it's not a linear scale sort of thing. It's grabbing market share might cost X, but to grab the next bit might cost Y, and it'd be twice what the first value is.
Yeah.
Because you've already got a core. You really got to get the clients from other people. So you've either got to acquire a business, and that's a great way of considering growth too, is to buy out a competitor, or look for something on allied, like we said before.
Now, I think there's some great advice in there for people, because sometimes we do get blinkered. We go, I just need more of the same clients. So sometimes it's great when someone like yourself, looking at business growth, looking at your why, looking at your systems,
people.
And these great ideas of the different methods of growing, I think, is where you come from as well.
Absolutely. And the other thing with our business being air conditioning, obviously it's very, very seasonal. Despite us doing our best to try to level it out, it's always a reactive market. So we're obviously looking for something that would keep us also occupied in winter. If anything, it was going to peak in winter and certainly not peak in summer like our core business does.
Because your core business goes.
That's right, yeah.
I know I spoke to Carl the other day, and Carl's going, no, I can't talk.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, we can get like 600 phone calls in just at reception at the head office.
Jeez.
And there's another 8 or 9 stores taking calls.
How would you summarise this, and any other points for looking at for business growth?
Look, a couple of other points I had. Yeah, it's summarising is just think carefully and don't just blunder in. I think is the core message I want to say here. So, and is your business profitable enough? Because a lot of people want to grow, but they're not growing off a good enough base. Like if your business isn't already making money, then why would it, by growing it, will it necessarily make any more money? If anything, your overheads are going to increase as a percentage of your revenue. So if anything, it could become less profitable. Because as you grow the business, you need sort of more middle management that aren't generating an income themselves. So suddenly you need an HR manager, you need a general manager. As a smaller business, you would not need that necessarily because the owner would be doing that. But now everyone's got more work, we've got to get the middle management in. And that can take a big hit to the profitability. So firstly, is your business profitable enough? And the last point I'd like to make is how much larger do you want to go? Or want to grow, I should say. So there's a big difference between I want to grow my business 10% versus I want to double my business. And that's a big question we should have probably covered off earlier. A 10% or 5% growth should almost be automatic that you were trying to do that just to keep up with inflation and all the other reasons. But if it's only that, then there's a big difference in the amount of systems, money required, all the things we touched on earlier, versus doubling the business. And it's much easier, of course, to double a small business than it is to double a large business.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely great advice, Andrew. Obviously, Andrew's details are below. Shoot your question if they need to ask you something.
Love to help everyone. Just please email a question or through the link.
Fantastic. Andrew Ford, great, with great business advice on how to grow your business. We're having heaps of fun here in the studios, making sure the right buttons get pressed to switch on all the tapes and how we're meant to line it up. We don't play the wrong tape with the wrong name. If you're enjoying the show, keep sending your messages through to us. Absolutely love them. We'll respond while the other tapes are playing. It's a bit hard at the moment. We're in show number 2. I'm sure you can relate to that, to do it while we're on the fly here. What a great show. What a great bunch of guests we've had.
If you have taken just one little gold nugget from each of our guests, you got a lot to implement in your business. And the nice thing is, it's not going to cost you money.
No.
It's just to have that mindset to say, what can I change, improve, create, remove in my business? Take some of that golden nuggets and apply it.
And in the comments section, share some of your golden nuggets as well. That's what all this is about. We want to build a really nice, strong business community. That's why we're doing this TV show. And again, if you want to come in, send us an email. The links are below. We'd love to interview you. And if you're overseas or you can't come in, Hey, there's Zoom, there's Skype, there's all ways of recording things these days, and we can get you on the show and share your content with the world as well.
I think it's really important. I think you will notice that the people, the guests, talk about business. They don't try to sell a product.
No.
They try to give value to all the listeners.
Absolutely. Giving value to all the listeners. Now, we're live, so I'm going to do this off the top of my head. We had Peter McLernon, Helia Singh, Peter Hopkins, John Broons, Andrew Ford. Who else do we have? Colin James. Paul Baird-Murray and Colin James. They're probably not in the right order, but a great contribution from all of them, and a great contribution for you guys watching. We really, really do appreciate it. Hit those bells, subscribe, like, follow, share the heck out of it with all your friends.
I think that's the important part, is share the information. Don't just give it to yourself. If you know that your friend or family member is in business, just forward and share information.
Absolutely. We'll see you again. Well, this will replay on Sunday.
Yep.
And it will be on our YouTube channel, so you can go to it anytime. It's 24/7 access to that. This is live. We will restream this on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. And until next week, you have a great business, and we'll see you again next Tuesday. We're changing the date to Tuesday because all the public holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, that way we dodge them. That's enough talking. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.